Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Well, back in Westminster, the battle for the succession in the Conservative Party has begun in earnest to take shape, with the former Defence Secretary Liam Fox and the Work and Pension Secretary Stephen Crabb both declaring their candidacy for the leadership, and the big beasts, Boris Johnson and Theresa May, expected to join them tomorrow. Well, our political editor Gary Gibbon is in Westminster. Gary, what did David Cameron say to the Commons about his trip out here, and also what did he say to Jeremy Corbyn in the Commons?
Oh, well, he has some sharp words for Jeremy Corbyn at Prime Minister's Questions, which you'll see in a moment. His message back from Brussels is very much the one that you were outlining in that piece. The negotiation is going to be extremely difficult. Interestingly, after years of the Commons having statements about Europe where the Tory benches are packed with all the people who desperately wanted Brexit piling in and poking at the Prime Minister, now they've got what they wanted. I'm not sure how many of them were actually really in there to listen to the Prime Minister, but the message he was trying to tell those people is it's going to be extremely difficult. The trade-off that some of them want with the access to the single market but restrictions on freedom of movement is something that he heard again and again last night when he was allowed in the room, is something that our European partners are extremely concerned about and not at all relaxed about.
Now, what's this about an email that's turned up, and what does it tell us about the Tory leadership contest?
Well, once in a while you get a document that just lifts the lid a little bit on the murky goings-on in a leadership contest. And this one, it's an email that accidentally went to a member of the public, and it was meant to go to Michael Gove, the Justice Secretary, and a couple of his aides. It's from his wife. And there have been aides in Number 10 who've been calling her Lady MacBeth in the last few weeks, but she's clearly very concerned that Mr Gove makes his influence felt in the Boris Johnson campaign, talking about making sure you get assurances from Boris Johnson, and talking about how Dacre and Murdoch, Paul Dacre of the Daily Mail, Rupert Murdoch of the Sun and the Times, that they need assurances from Boris Johnson because they don't really trust Boris Johnson. Now, a lot of people will think, years after the Leveson inquiry, when the press was supposed to have been put back in its hatch, here we are looking at their influence over the referendum itself, perhaps seismic, and now perhaps seismic again over the regime that Brexit will have brought us. Here's how the day went here. 6 days on from the referendum, we know we're heading out, but to where? A massive void exists where Britain's membership of the EU used to be. Our two main governing parties in turmoil.
Questions to the Prime Minister.
David Cameron's greatest anger is with some in his own party right now. But in the Commons, he turned on Jeremy Corbyn for his lame support of the Remain campaign.
We all have to reflect on our role in the referendum campaign. I know the honourable gentleman says he put his back into it. All I'd say is I'd hate to see him when he's not trying.
The Prime Minister has 2 months left. Will he leave a one-nation legacy? And will that one-nation legacy be the scrapping of the bedroom tax, the banning of zero-hours contracts and cancelling of the cuts to universal credit?
David Cameron then piled in, lending his own support to those Labour MPs trying to bring down the Labour leader.
If he's looking for excuses about why the side he and I were on about the referendum, frankly, he should look somewhere else. And I have to say to the honourable gentleman, he talks about job insecurity and my 2 months to go. It might be in my party's interest for him to sit there. It's not in the national interest. And I would say, for heaven's sake, man, go.
For a moment, Jeremy Corbyn and some of his brand new promotions to the front bench looked stunned. Tomorrow, the two front runners to succeed David Cameron launch their campaigns, Boris Johnson and the Home Secretary Theresa May. A little light was shed on the backroom manoeuvres in the Boris Johnson campaign when Sky News was sent an email from Michael Gove's wife, the journalist Sarah Vine, to her husband, accidentally copied in to a member of the public. Mrs Gove tells her husband, one simple message: you must have specific assurances from Boris, otherwise you cannot guarantee your support. The email goes on, Crucially, the party membership will not have the necessary reassurance to back Boris. Neither will Dacre Murdoch, who instinctively dislike Boris but trust your ability enough to support a Boris Gove ticket. Rupert Murdoch's wedding 3 months ago. The owner of The Sun had Paul Dacre, editor-in-chief of the Daily Mail, in the congregation. He's known to have a very low opinion of Boris Johnson. And, like Rupert Murdoch, is thought to have hoped that Michael Gove himself would run for number 10, a candidate closer to their views. Stephen Crabb this morning was the first candidate for the Tory leadership to launch a campaign. He's been Work and Pensions Secretary since March.
When you're the governing party, disunity has wider implications. And when I look round for who in our party is going to work this all out and give us the best possible chance to mend these divisions, to provide the strongest possible platform from which to deliver on the expectations of that majority of British people who voted for us to leave the European Union, I don't see anybody who provides a compelling answer. And today, I'm standing to be leader of the Conservative Party and to be Prime Minister. I love my country. I love my party.
After that event, former Defence Secretary Liam Fox went for a more low-key radio launch for his candidacy. Nominations close noon tomorrow.
Gary Gibbon.
I've been getting away with it all